Oh my goodness. Oh dear. Off to a good start. Coughing my brains out. Twitch, what have you done? Half an hour later, here we are into the screen that I want to see. Wow, what a doggy's breakfast it is. This home page now for Twitch. Wow. A lot of things I'm going to have to get used to. All right. Hello, everybody. We're finally up and running, I think. So today we are going to start with some work. It's time to get to work. It's been a long time, and as I play the game, I get a little bit more frustrated with seeing the things that are not working properly and need to be done. And it incentivizes me to get to work. So I'll try some gameplay a little bit later or tomorrow or something, but we'll see how this goes right now. But it's back to work time. We're in the construction set, and we're going to do things Morrowind Amalgamated style. Morrowind Amalgamated, the large compilation of mods that I put together into a couple of plugins and treating as a couple of giant plugins. And so getting everything able to be loaded into the construction set that's going to affect one particular mod and anything else that impacts that mod as well. Okay, I'm half asleep, so I don't know if this is going to make sense, but we'll give it a try. So I loaded the... so we're going to work on Erengard mines today, again. Sort of picking up where we left off quite a while ago. And we started with Erengard mines with the tidy process, which is what I term just looking over things to make sure that there are fewer errors. Everything gets put into a format that is consistent across the whole plugin. As that's what I call the Morrowind Amalgamated style. And so we're going to do that with scripts today. We've already done it with variables. We started with global variables, then we went to any local variables that I thought might need renaming or changing to fit in with the amalgamated style. There weren't that many. So it was pretty straightforward kind of operation. This is going to be a little bit more involved, but a little bit easier in a sense. So we're going to start off with renaming scripts. And then we're going to check for syntaxes and then sort of style overall and make everything nice and neat. As I've pointed out before, working on this mod is actually quite well put together already, so I don't think I have to do a lot of changes. So really, what it's probably going to amount to is just changing the names of the scripts and just making it visually a little bit neater. But we'll check for any goofs along the way as well. And I'll point those out as we come to them. Now, right now I'm loading up all the tools that we're going to need to carry out this operation. So the first thing was the main plugin in the construction set. And this is the big one. And it's the first of two major plugins that contain most of the. Oh, thank you very much. Contains most of the material, and it's called MWM Main, my main plugin within which Erengard Mines is embedded. Then I loaded up a standalone version of Erengard Mines, which would be suitable for uploading to TESC Nexus or something, and making it available to those who might want to play with it in the style that I've made it, which would hopefully be, maybe not in the case of this mod, but in the case of other mods, it would be, you know, maybe a little more correct or a little more, I don't know, fleshed out in some way. And then I've got the final instance in the construction set of what I've loaded, which is the original mod for reference. Now I've got MW Edit going, and in MW Edit I'm going to load pretty much the same things. So I load up Morrowind, Tribunal, Blood Moon, the main plugin, and now a null mod which has nothing in it, which is just a safeguard. It's insurance so that I don't, if I accidentally save the game in, you know, push the save button in MW Edit, it won't actually save the game itself, because I don't want to overwrite any work that I'm doing in the construction set, which is where the actual saves will occur. Okay, so I got that loaded, and now we'll go to I think I'll probably, sometimes I may or may not need this standalone loaded in MW Edit, but I think I will in this case, because I know I've made a change to one of the scripts, at least one of the main scripts, in terms of the content. So I think just to try and see if I can keep things a little bit more orderly and straight in my mind. I will also load the standalone in MW Edit. Finally, I'm going to load the original, but without, this time without the null. And here it is, the original, and I'll set that one active. And the purpose being that in MW Edit, you get a nice coloration going, showing it's kind of like Enchanted Editor in a sense, which I'll also load, but it kind of shows you which, if you sort according to what belongs to the mod, it brings up in a nice colored fashion here those elements which belong to the mod and the mod only. If you load it that way, make the original mod active. So that'll probably be handy. Maybe I don't even need Enchanted Editor, because that's probably sufficient for me. But the one last thing that I will load up is the MWSE editor, because that is very good for formatting scripts and making them look more formal and more correct. Okay, so where do we want to begin? Well, we want to, as in all renaming operations, oh, and we also definitely need the, let's not forget, the changelog. Erengard mine changelog. Here we go. Now, have I got renaming in here? Yes, I do. So let's make a little home for scripts. As you can see, I've already got a record of the variables that I've changed from earlier on. Now we're going to do scripts. And I'll give myself some room to work here. And I'll probably start from the bottom and work up. For some reason, that seems to be the easiest way to go about it. So, starting with EMS supply crate, the very first thing we want to do is find out all instances of where that script occurs, so that when we change the name, it occurs throughout the mod, throughout the plugin, wherever it needs to, so that we don't miss an instance, because if we miss an instance of changing the name where it occurs other than the script itself, of course you're going to screw up the game. So that's the tricky part, is finding out where it all resides throughout the plugins. But the good news is finding scripts is a little bit easier than, say, finding local variables. So, why don't we bring up the original? I'll probably change my methodology as I go along and remember what it is I'm doing. I'm just going to copy that script name, and we're going to look for it in a few places now. We're going to look through it for it in the main mod, in the construction set, and we go to edit and find text and plug the name of that into it and find out where it occurs. And it occurs on a container, EM supply crate. And now I'm just going to verify that in the other instances in the construction set, and especially in the original, because sometimes I've done work in the past, especially on the MWAM plugin, and things might be a little different from what they are in the original. So just got to verify that that is indeed the case, that they all line up. And if not, we've got to explore why they don't line up. All right, so now let's go to the main search in MW Edit. And the reason I'm going to search here again is because sometimes the search engines behave, well, they do behave differently, and sometimes you get different results. So EMS, now in this one you have to type it in manually, the literal string, and it's supply crate, right? Okay. SUPPLYCRATE. And it searches through the main plugin, and we find that it is on the container. And I'll do that over here on the original. And here you can see the search has been carried over. That's one nice thing about MW Edit. Search gets carried over from search instance to search instance. And again, it's just on the container. So that's a locally placed script on an object. So that's very easy. So we can just go ahead and change the name however we want. And then we'll just make sure to save the object that the script is on, just to make sure that that object catches the save as well, or the change. Okay, so EM supply crate container. So let's go into the construction set here and bring that up just right away, just for the heck of it. I'll get rid of the searches there. Container. EM supply crate. And indeed, EMS supply crate is the name of that script that's on it. Okay, good. I'll just keep it off to the side there. Ready for when we're finished our operation here. Container, I know they're in here somewhere. Container. Holy cow. My eyes aren't... Oh, it's right up there. Okay. My eyes aren't that bad, are they? And then we're not going to change the original in any way, shape, or form. Just the main plugin and the standalone. Okay. So let's bring the scripts up within the construction set where the actual saves are going to be made to. And you see, as I said before, the author of this mod did a very good job of being consistent with the naming of the objects in this mod. They're all prefixed the same way, EMS, which I presume stands for Erengard Mines Script, and then the underscores, and then the various other suffixes that go along with each of the names. Now, as an overview, I see a few things that I want to change. Number one, I want to add an element to the suffix here to further differentiate this name from other names that are similar, that have this name has the same, this is the same name as the roots of these names. And so I'd like to add something on the suffix here to further differentiate it from these other scripts with similar names in the root. So why do I want to do that? Because for times when you might want to search for a particular script or object in the game, in general, this is a general sort of concept. You want to be as specific as possible in the names of your objects so that they're more or less unique throughout the game. Because, for example, if I wanted to search for this particular script, I'll just put it in the construction set with the hope that it'll all show up the way I want it to. But so I want to search for this script and this script alone, EMS Overseer. I put find text, and sure enough, see what I get is everything with that root. And then some. Wow. Actually, I don't, yeah, see. So anyway, in terms of scripts, what I get is, that's going to be interesting for later on in terms of where we have to change the script name. Quite a few things that it appears on. But as you can see, it's got the script that I'm looking for, the script of interest, but also the ones that have that same root. So that doesn't help me in my search necessarily. It kind of expands the search to be too broad. And so if I put it, if I were to put a suffix on the end of this, which I'm going to, which would be maybe GC, and then search, of course, it knocks out everything else that doesn't have that suffix on it. So then the search becomes more specific. I always feel that the game would probably benefit from each item being more unique, each object, in terms of just how it executes while you're running it. So goes the theory. So that's one of the things I'm going to do as far as the overview of what I'm looking at is concerned, and the same applies to these mine scripts here, where the root for here is the same as the script name for here, these ones here. Okay, so just minor changes in that regard in terms of the renaming. Otherwise, I don't think I see anything too egregious, other than, of course, if you followed me before, you know that I'm not a big fan of the underscore. So I'm going to get rid of the underscore. And then, of course, I'm going to change the script names to be in the Morrowind amalgamated format. Okay, so we brought up the script there, EMS supply crate, first script in of interest, and then we'll go across the board here to do it in the standalone as well. And EMS supply crate. All right. So that's where the saves are going to occur. Now we need to create working copies into MWEdit. So I'm going to copy the whole body here and stick it in. Maybe I'll just put it in the main plugin. And I go down to script and I go add new. That gives me a fresh new palette to work from. In fact, I might even just go straight over to let's see, how do I do this? Okay, generally what I do, if it's a long script, this one is not long, but if it's a longer one, I would probably go in here and look for instances. Okay, first thing I have to do is put it in the changelog and change it to the form that I want it to appear. So SC-EM for Erengard Mines, SC for script, EM Erengard Mines, and I don't see anything terribly wrong with calling it supply crate still. And I'll turn it all into one unbroken word there, one string that is unbroken. And I go through with the fabulous, and this is one of the reasons I have to use MWEdit to do this kind of work, is because you don't have a search and replace in the construction set the way you do in MWEdit. So then I would use MWEdit to find instances of the original name and then replace it with my new name, which in this case was just the title, and that's all that we need to go do in that. Now we'll take it from there and we'll paste it into the Morrowind script editor. And here's where I hit the F5 key, and you'll notice that it will automatically format. It will change. There will be color added to the elements of the script, much like it does over here in MWEdit, slightly different colors, and it will uppercase the names of the functions and stuff like that, and it will automatically indent where it needs to. If there's missing if it's missing a space here, for example, at the less than 1, watch what happens when I press F5, which is going to happen right now. And you see how it jumped and added a space there, which is a more correct way of having the elements lined up as according to syntax. So it's very good. So MW Script Editor is very good for those kinds of things, making the script more correct and formal looking. And in fact, I'm going to go up here and remove all the indent. So I go to Advanced, remove all white space, and it gets everything all left aligned, and that's just going to be for the purposes of getting a different sort of bird's eye view of the script and seeing how the blocks are organized and stuff. And I'm also going to do an end of the line check for additional white space that the script editor doesn't remove, because it doesn't get it all. And that looks pretty good. And I'd say the blocks are pretty organized looking there. So I'm going to take away this manually, and then I'm going to cut this, X, Control X, and now I'm going to re-indent the script. And I'm going to paste that back on, and I'm going to go down to the end and put on end again. And now I'm just going to do a brief overview here. We've already looked at variables before, and I'm not thrilled with this variable name, pix, because it's not as unique as I would necessarily like it to be, but because it has a lot in common with lockpick, or you might find miner's picks scattered throughout the game in dialogue and things like that. So that string is pretty common, but it's not as common as some other things, and I would say, let's just leave it. Let's try not to fix what isn't necessarily broken, and not get too excited about that word pix, because I think it'll be fine. It won't cause any problems, and you got to watch in cases like this. So this is one of the elements of this script that I'm just going to highlight for a second here. What this is doing, this is what I call a remote call. I don't know if that's the right name or a name that makes any sense, but this line here is saying to go and find the variable that's on a script that's on this object, which is in this case an NPC. It says go to that NPC, fetch the script, fetch the variable within that script, and assign its value to this variable in this script. So that's the process that is going on there. And so you have to watch the name of the local variable there, that it's sort of sensible, and also that it doesn't cause some kind of a error, an outright error in its process by, for example, making the name of this element too long, such that the game can't understand it or something like that. So you have to watch out for things like that. So that's one of the things I'm checking. Besides the actual name of it, I'm checking for, how is it more or less correct. In this case, as I say, it looks pretty good. So we're just going to leave it and just do a brief overview of any of the other elements in here, see if there are any other changes I need to make. And I would say not really. Get item count. We see the actual names of objects with underscores in them are surrounded by quotes, which I like. And so that's fine as far as I'm concerned. Set state to 0, da-de-da, and there's another block here, which just resets the state variable. So it's a fairly simple script, which is applied to the supply crate, so that when you remove all items from the supply crate, up pops this message, and it says removing the invoice might cause future orders not to arrive. This is a little trick used in Morrowind to make sure that containers respawn. You always have to have an object in the container, so that if you set the container to respawn items in it, it has to have an object in it. And so the author has cleverly created that safeguard by putting a script on the crate that says if you empty the crate, you're going to be in trouble. And so that's what this script is all about. Okay, so we've done all that. We've checked it over. It looks reasonably good. Now we'll just do a compile, which is another nice thing that you can do in MW Edit. You can do a mock compile and check for any errors that way. And it says no warnings, no errors. And so I'm pretty satisfied that we can go ahead with the script as it is and just plug it back into where it came from. So we're going to do that. We're going to copy it out now. It looks correct. It looks nicely formatted. It's been renamed. And I'm going to resave it under a different name. Actually, I wanted to start with the main plugin. That's okay. I did it to the standalone first, but as you can see with the main plugin, it takes a little bit longer to save because there are just so many scripts in the plugin. And I'm going to do it twice. And back to the standalone, and we'll do it there as well. Okay. Now, like I said earlier, we're going to bring up the object that the script is on. And you can see the name has changed here. And I'm just going to actually save the object once again so that it absolutely makes sure that it catches and that the object understands that there is a new script on it. So we'll save the object as well. Supply crate and save. There we go. So that should be A-OK. All right, so and now as you can probably imagine, in the main plugin, this script name is going to jump up in the order, the alphabetical order of the scripts, and it's going to become part of everything else that has SC in it, which is all the scripts renamed so far in the plugin. All these SCs are renames according to my scheme, the amalgamated scheme. And so Erengard Mines is going to join that phalanx of objects starting with SC in front of it, indicating that it is, in fact, a script. Okay, so that's number one. Now we just got to keep on going up the line here and giving the same treatment to everything else that I come upon. Anything else I need to do? No, I think that's it. I didn't really need to check against the original script because this one doesn't, I'm not changing any object names at this particular point, like any of the NPCs or anything like that. So there's nothing differing from the original in that score. Okay, EMS supplier. And then be consistent here. We'll go there. Whoops, missed. And then in the original, in case we need to reference, I'll bring it up here as well. Just keep things sort of more or less on track here. EMS supplier. Okay, now so our first job is to find out where it occurs in the game. So to that end, we go to the construction set, find text. And again, it's on an object, which is in fact the NPC. This is the one we were alluding to before with pics in the variables, and indeed there it is. Okay, so that's the one that's on the NPC, and I'll just verify over here. That's indeed the case. Yep, okay, we're good. So we're going to take EMS supplier, copy it, paste it over what was in there before. And I'm going to make a note of it and make the change in my change log. And then we can use that to verify Use the search and replace from MWEdit. Make sure that there are no hidden instances of it down here. Nope, but it was just the title. And so we changed it, and we'll change, and that will automatically change on the object once we save it into the game. And so it's pretty straightforward. Bob's your uncle. All right, once again back into Morrowind script editor. Copy the whole thing in, or I'm going to press F5 to format it. F5, 1, 2, 3. Copy it back out. Oh, maybe I'll do that thing again where I remove the... Initially, I'll remove the indents. Okay. Copy it back out into MWEdit. Take a look at it. Looks pretty straightforward there and very orderly. Okay, I'm going to re-indent it. Take away end manually. Control X to cut that. Indent, paste, and end. Go up to the top, just give it a good scan. See if there's anything else I want to change about it. Get disabled. Get journal index. Okay, we're going to be doing journal indexes is one other thing we're going to rename in terms of category of objects. That'll be later. Start script, EMS mine death. Okay, see, this is a script name that is going to be changed down the road, so we're going to have to come back to this script and make that change later on. But for now, this is the only change we need to make to this one, so it looks pretty good in all other facets. And away we go. I'll plug it into the main plugin, and 1, 2, 3, save. And into the standalone, same script. 1, 2, 3, save. No changes between this standalone and the main plugin. Here we have remove food. EMS remove food is the next one. Okay, so the process. Find the script. Bring it up. Okay, and so right off the top, you'll see there are differences between what I've got in my main plugin, in the amalgamated plugin, and what's in the standalone. So the standalone is going to have the standard names of the objects as they occur in vanilla Morrowind, and it's going to have a certain set of objects as prescribed by the author, and I'm not going to touch that because I don't want to change the actual flavor of the mod if I do upload this or make it available to the public. I do not want to create conflicts and everything, or step on the author's artistic treatment of the mod. So I'm going to upload this part here, this content, as is. I'm just going to change the script name, possibly an object name, somewhere down the road, but that won't affect the operation of the script, and it won't affect how the script plays out in game, or how how the mod plays out as a whole. Whereas with the amalgamation, things are going to be different. I've got a lot more objects to be able to use, as dictated by the fact that I've added so many other mods to the main plugin. I have all these items available to me. A lot of these are from Necessities of Morrowind. I have made changes to the names, as you can see, of the objects themselves from what they were originally, including the liquor, to a much more what I consider logical name scheme compared to what you have in vanilla Morrowind. Potion Cranberry Brandy, Potion Cranberry Wine, Potion Zero Whiskey, Potion Local Brew. If you can remember what each of those is in terms of the common name, good on you. But I can't often, so I've changed it to where the common names match the the object name in the database. So you got here Mazdi, Shine, Grief, Brandy Cyrodiilic, Flynn, Lucky Star. These again, some of them from Necessities of Morrowind, been added in there. So that's just point of interest that these two scripts are going to be entirely different. And so in terms of the inner content, just be aware that this is one case of where the amalgamation differs from the standalone. Okay, back to what we have to do first of all, which is EMS remove food. And I think I'm happy with, again, the basics of that name. So we'll just go like this, put it into amalgamated format, SCEM, remove food. I could make it a little bit shorter if I needed to or whatever, but I don't think it's paramount importance to make that kind of a change. So we'll just more or less leave it close to what it was in the original instance. Okay, we've done that, but also I have to find out where in the game this occurs. So one more time, we do our search stuff. Once in the construction set. Okay, so this looks like a script that's going to be called from somewhere. And it looks like our construction set won't find it. So we're going to have to rely on MWEdit to come up with where this actually does occur in the game. Okay, so find text, EMS, REMOVEFOOD. Whoops. I think I just hit my wheel. REMOVEFOOD, find. And as you can see, this script actually does occur and is called by another script, and our construction set failed to find that, which is why I use MWEdit a lot of times for my searches. And one more time, we'll do this in the original mod 2 to again make sure that to verify that what our original findings. So indeed. Okay, so in this case, we're going to have to change not only the script name of the script itself, but also the script from which it arises, where it occurs, which is that daily business one. All right, so we've already pasted it into here. And so let's go with our search and replace. I'll put up a fresh instance of that. Search and replace in MWEdit. And I'll take my name change and plug that into the replace. And go. Now, because I've removed underscores and made this all one unbroken string, I feel I can remove the quote marks, which is what the original author had in there, which is a good idea if you have underscore, but I don't feel I need it now that I've, quote, fixed the name. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to go into the standalone and do the same over here. And this part will be identical to what I just did in the, whoops, amalgamated. There we go. Okay, now as far as other elements are concerned, let's just handle these one at a time. And I'm going to take and get a fresh sheet here in the script editor, plug that in. We'll hit F5 to format. And again, remove all the white space, because I think it'll be just easier to deal with without it for the moment. And indeed, I want to do one thing here. CEM food barrel, I think I want to put quote marks around that because it is an object that has an underscore in the ID. And in order to make it a little bit more legible, I think, by the game, I think it's probably a good idea to put quote marks around it. I don't think it'll change anything that is essential. So again, search and replace EM food barrel becomes EM food barrel with quote marks. And we're going to hit replace all because that's probably the best way to do it when you're adding items to a name like that. But we've got to be sure we didn't change anything that shouldn't be changed, where that name might share the root with some other name, but I think we're good. Okay, so there's that. And you see there are quote marks around all the other, this is the original author working here. There are quote marks around other items that have underscores in the name. So why they didn't carry that through to this, I don't know, but you know, that's what I'm doing now. So, okay, and the next thing I see, what I'm going to probably do is add some parentheses here. Which is probably overkill and not needed. However, I kind of feel like the operation benefits from a little more clarity. By putting parentheses around the actual arithmetical operation. I'm probably totally wrong about that, but so far I've been doing it throughout the game and it doesn't seem to have hurt anything, let's put it that way. So I'll just continue on to be consistent. Okay, so how does that read now? Set employees to, oh, here we are, another set of parentheses here. What this is doing is adding the values of 3 globals together. And then it's got a while loop. So while employees greater than 0, here's a local variable name. So we set employees to global sum. And then we do the operation on the local variable, which is better than trying to do an operation on global variables. So they've changed over the value you get from the globals to a local. Operate on the local, and as long as the food is greater than 0, we remove the item. And we keep going for a certain value. Sets the morale value, another global number. And it ends the loop. And then we go into something else here. And so essentially what it's doing is it's taking food out of the barrel as needed, and it oh, I don't know what that's all about. Just trying to get rid of tooltips here, which I think worked, but there's some other anomaly there I'll have to look at. Now I'm just checking for end of line white space, but yeah, it sets the morale of the miners once the food is removed. And as long as they're being fed, they're happy. And I think everything seems to be in order there. Now, because I've changed some of the spacing on things in there, I'm going to plug this back into the script editor and hit F5 again. Make sure that I haven't screwed up my spacing or anything like that. So that's how it should probably look in the end, in a way that I like it. And so let's run a mock compilation. And of course it's going to say that the script name is not valid. Let's just comment that out for the second. Otherwise it's okay. Script name is not valid because of course we haven't saved it into the game yet. But in all other matters, it looks like this script is good. So I'm going to re-indent, paste back the name, type back end, copy it back. And this is for the standalone, so I've got to make sure I put it in the right plugin. And there we go. Save. And of course I'm going to have to save it again because it didn't recognize the name change the first time around. So it has to catch. So we save it again. Maybe even a third time. Okay, there we go. It's not on an object. So we don't have to go into the objects and make any saves there, but we will have to change that other script from whence this arises, because it won't change automatically. I'll have to manually change it in the construction set. Okay, now to this big guy in the amalgamated. So again, we'll do our search and replace to add quote marks around the food barrel object. That one being having an underscore, that's why I do it there. But as you can see, the other strings in here are again, I have to see if I can get rid of tooltips. So these are all contiguous strings, and so I won't need quote marks around those, I don't think. But I will put parentheses around things again. There and there. And I'll have to do this a fair bit more because I have more items in here that are available to the miners in the amalgamation. To speed this up, I could actually use a search and replace for at least part of it, but it's not that big, so... Well, actually it is kind of... Okay, let's do it. Except now I'm probably going to have a screw up because there are ones that I have put parentheses around already, and I don't want to change them. I just want to change this one. Okay, R, R, F, F, R, F, F, R, F, F, R, R. That's a little faster. Okay. So we got the beginnings of those strings done, and now... Oops. In fact, I could probably just paste to be a lot easier there, so I'll just copy that. Hit Control V. There we go. And there we go. Okay, that's a little faster. Okay, employees to employees -1. Parentheses here. Here, arithmetical operation. There we have it. Okay. Back into here. Double check that it's all formatted properly. Back into here, and we'll do a mock compile. I'm going to have to comment this out temporarily. Hopefully everything else is good. All right. Looks good. To indent, not to indent. I think I'm going to leave it. No particular reason to indent it unless, you know, you're going to operate on it in the future, but I don't plan to unless I want to change the name of the barrel or something. If you do want to indent it, it's a very easy matter to do so next time you open it in MW Edit. So I think I'm just going to leave it all left aligned right now. Okay, it didn't recognize it the first time, so we got to save it again. It's a little bit longer save. It has to verify all these objects are in existence. So it takes a little bit longer as it goes through the list of objects. Okay, so that's done. Okay, so now where we found it was on daily business, right? So now we got to go to that script. Which happens to be the first one in the line. And I'm not sure if they're the same or different between the amalgamation and the plugin, so I'll bring them both up and operate on them separately. Okay, and what we're looking for is the old script name, and we're going to replace it with the new script name. Old script name, new script name. All right, find next and replace. There we go. And again, we can probably remove the quote marks. All right, that's for the standalone. That's for the plugin. I'll start with the plugin. Control A, Control C, and we'll plug it back into here. And I'm not going to do any other changes to this script at this time. I'll get to this script when I get to it itself, making any changes. But right now, all I'm doing is changing the script name. And I saved it a couple of times, and now for the standalone, down here, change of the name, and so save, and there we're done. And so that's that script. Okay, well, we're gradually making our way along. I think that's probably enough for now. The rest I will do offline. But that's an overview of how I go about changing script names in Morrowind Amalgamated and Erengard Mines in specific. And I think we'll do some more of this in the future with other mods. I will do another similar tutorial on changing of the journal entries for dialogue, which is the last of the major categories that I'm going to rename in Erengard Mine. And then pretty much that mod will be, as I call, tidied, I would say. So then I can potentially upload it to TESC Nexus and have people use it in this new form if they so desire, which I'm hoping is maybe a little more, I don't know, correct in some ways or efficient, easier to work with if changes are deemed to be needed in the future from the original author or anybody else who feels they want to modify it. So anyway, that's the end of this construction set session for today.